is Rachel from Ray K Books, and today I'm going to be interviewing Livia Blackburne. Hello, Livia.
Hello, Rachel.
So today we are going to be promoting The Midnight Thief. Can you please tell everybody who is watching what it's about?
Okay, so The Midnight Thief, it's a young adult fantasy, medieval fantasy. It's about a talented thief named Kyra who joins a shady organization known as the Assassin's Guild. And at first, it seems like a well-paying job and something that is good for her, but eventually she finds out, there's more to it than she thought, and things happen after that. And in the meantime, it's also following a knight named Tristram who is trying to track her down.
Right. And so we have a Twitter question, so we're going to begin with that.
Okay.
And this Twitter question is, how did you come up with the idea for Midnight Thief, and what inspired you to start writing?
Okay. So this is actually a really long story.
Go for it. That's fine.
This is from back when I was in high school, and so I went to one of those really weird high schools where there's a camping requirement for graduation. And I hate camping, and this is hardcore camping where there's no toilets. You dig a hole. There's no showers for 5 days. So I went on maybe 2 of those trips, and I was like, okay, whatever I need to do to get out of those, I'm gonna do it. So there's actually an option where you can propose another project instead of going camping. And so I proposed that I would write a novel, which is not like camping at all, but somehow they let me do it anyways. And yeah, so I started writing a medieval fantasy in high school about a young thief named Lana, who finds out she's a wizard and goes off to have adventures. I was heavily influenced at that time by Tamora Pierce. I loved her Song of the Lioness series. And so in high school, I got about maybe 40 to 60 pages through a manuscript about Lana. And it wasn't a very good manuscript. I've met plenty of high school published authors now. I was not capable of producing, publishable fiction in high school. But I did get some very good advice from a mentor. An English teacher, and he mentioned that Lana's best friend Kyra had the most personality out of any of the characters, and so that kind of just went into the back of my head. For the next 10 years or so, I was pursuing a science degree. I didn't have much time to write, but then about in grad school, I was taking a class. I was at MIT. I was taking a class at Harvard Medical School. And there's a bus that takes you back and forth, and it's really cold in Boston in the winter, so when I was waiting for the bus, I would wait at the Harvard bookstore, and one day they had a display of a popular up-and-coming YA series about a girl and her vampire boyfriend. And, some series, so I just picked it up, started reading, and that series is really addictive, so I ended up buying the whole series, reading it over the weekend, and that just really reminded me how much I used to love reading, how much I always wanted to write that novel. And so I decided I'd do it, went back to the drawing board, took Kyra, built a story around her, and that is pretty much it.
So through this whole story, you've kind of had a theme, and that is fantasy. You've written fantasy, that's your genre. So why fantasy? What interests you?
I think it's more exciting than real life, I think. I think, I like to read and write about things that I haven't experienced before, so, I live in this world, so when I want to relax, I want to go somewhere else.
It's very true. Very true. It would be so awesome if there was wizards here, if I could learn magic.
It would. It definitely would be.
I know. So what is your favorite fantasy creature?
Oh, that's a good question. So Anne McCaffrey's teleporting dragons, I think, are awesome. Um, I mean, okay, well, dragons in general are awesome, and just like the fact that they can go anywhere and talk to you, I would love to have one if I could find one.
Are you into the Game of Thrones?
I haven't read them yet. I really need to. That's like on my list.
Yeah, no, because I was wondering because Khaleesi has pet dragons, and they
Oh,
are badass.
okay.
Like they are awesome.
Well,
So
that's one more reason then that I need to check it out.
yeah, so okay, in your book, do you have any fantasy creatures that you created yourself?
I do. I have, there's these barbarians known as the Demon Riders, and they are people who ride giant cats. So they're cats the size of horses, and they're incredibly vicious. And part of what Tristram has to deal with is that the city is being kind of terrorized by these cats, and he needs to find out more about them and try to save the city from being eaten, pretty much.
So when you were writing this fantasy book, I totally agree with you, by the way. Like fantasy is so not reality, and that's what makes it so appealing. So when it comes to the world building, what is your goal? Like, what do you want to convey to people?
Hmm. I think I just want to capture people's imagination. So if I can get people to like wish that like something that I had created actually existed, like in the same way that I wish for Anne McCaffrey's dragons or like Harry Potter's school or something, I think that would accomplish my goal.
So what is a genre that you would like to write in next that's not fantasy, and what is one that you will never write in?
Hmm. That is a great question. I don't think I will ever write horror because I am just the biggest wimp in the world and just would not be able to handle. Um, so maybe if I weren't writing fantasy, maybe historical fiction. I can't see myself writing contemporary just because of the reason I mentioned earlier. I still like to go into different worlds. I could see myself writing historical fiction, maybe about Asian immigrants or about China or something, because it would be history that I'm interested in.
So, okay, what are you working on next? Is this going to be a series or is this a standalone?
Yes, yes. So this is going to be a series. It's a planned duology, and I am working on the sequel right now, which is due September 1st, and I'm totally not panicking. Mhm.
So, where are you in the writing process?
So I'm finishing up. The first draft is due September 1st, so I almost have like something that goes from beginning to end, and probably later this week I'll start. Um, I'll outline it all out and take stuff out, put stuff back together. Hopefully, get something more polished from my editor.
When you write a book, do you have a clear outline of what you want to write? Or I've heard that some authors say that they just write a book and the characters take them wherever they want to go.
I'm definitely more of an outliner. I tried, with pantsing, what they call it, once with a novella I wrote, and I just got super stressed out. The uncertainty was like getting to me. So yeah, I do need a plan, and but like in the process of outlining, I'll do a lot of free writing, um, and that's the time when I let the characters take me where to go. So I'll just write the scene that popped into mind and write another scene that popped into mind, and that's like very free form. But then I'll take those scenes and eventually, once I have maybe 40% of the novel, I'll take those and make those into an actual outline and start from the beginning and go.
If you were to collab with any author on a novel, who would it be and why?
Um, Megan Whalen Turner, because she's brilliant and I love her books, and I could just, yeah, her plotting is just amazing, and just her. I also like that her writing style is kind of different from a lot of what you see in YA today. She kind of writes, at least her later books, it's kind of in a shallow, omniscient, distant viewpoint, which I find really interesting, just because it's something different.
And is there a message in your novel that you want readers to grasp?
Maybe not a particular message. I think I raise lots of interesting questions that I'd love for readers to think about. Things like whether the ends justify the means when you're trying to accomplish a cause, whether your bloodlines, whether genetics are your culture determines who you are. I think those would be the main ones.
So let's talk about the cover of your book because it is beautiful.
It
I
is.
think Disney does so well with their covers.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. So
I really think I won the cover lottery with this one. I love it.
It's beautiful. So how much of a creative, like how much did they include you in the creative process?
Not much actually. So actually, they sent me the cover comp, and it was pretty much the same as what we had, except that in the comp version, it had a lion knocker, like not a mountain lion, like a lion with a mane. But everything else was pretty much already set, and so I saw that I loved it, and they just went forward.
So the cover is a door, correct?
Yes,
and
it's
a knocker on it? Yeah, okay. So what is the door to? Like, can you explain what's on the cover, why it's there?
I can explain some of it, and other parts of it you'll get into spoilers. But the door like symbolizes because Kyra's a thief, and that's kind of her specialty is to getting into locked places. And the door knocker is a demon cat, what the demon writers ride, and they play a big part in the story.
And my next question is pretty easy. What book are you reading now?
I am reading. Key. It's not out yet. It's an advanced review copy. It's by my friend Edith Cohn. It's a middle grade novel about a girl who loses her dog, but then she starts seeing his ghost. And there's a mystery on the island, like a disaster is coming, and he kind of helps her get through it. I'm about maybe a third of the way through, so I don't know too much of what's happening yet, but it's really cute.
And which actress and actor would you like to see playing the lead character from The Midnight Thief?
So I kind of always visualize Natalie Portman as Kyra, although she's a bit older now, so I don't. But someone kind of like her. For the main, for James, the head of the Assassin's Guild, I've always pictured Jude Law. And the male lead, Tristram, I actually don't have a good actor for him yet. I go back and forth, but I haven't settled on anything.
And now we are going to play a game.
Okay.
And this game is called Would You Rather, except it's literature edition. So for those of you who don't know what Would You Rather is, I will explain it. I would say to Livia, would you rather eat apples or oranges for the rest of your life? And then she'll have to say apples or oranges. Except this is,
literary
edition. Yeah. So the first one is would you rather live in the world of Hunger Games or Divergent?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Divergent because it's not quite as deadly as the Hunger Games world, I think, and it'd be kind of fun to pick a faction.
Would you rather fight next to Hermione from Harry Potter, Katniss from the Hunger Games, or Tris from Divergent?
Ooh. Probably Hermione, because she's pretty good at what she does. So I think I could. I mean, Katniss would be pretty good too, but she just has the arrow. But Hermione, I think she could do lots of. She can do things with that wand.
Who would you rather have as a child, Harry Potter or Hermione Granger?
Ooh, man, that one's hard. Uh, and I feel like I'd be a horrible person if I said Hermione because she's like super well behaved, and it seems like I wouldn't have to make her do her homework or anything. But like, I don't know, Harry is like so cool also. Well, I'll go with Hermione because she's a girl, and I think I would like a girl.
Would you rather read a book that is poorly written but has an excellent story, or read one with weak content but is written well?
I'm all about the story. That's what happens.
Would you rather write novels where all the characters are women or all men for the rest of your writing career?
This is funny because after I wrote Midnight Thief, I had a really hard time writing Tristan's point of view. I went through like scene after scene after scene, and like people were telling me that Tristan like sounded like a girl, and so I swore I would never write a male point of view again. And then of course the next idea I get is a novella from the assassin James's point of view, and he's just like, you know, the manliest man you could probably like possibly have. And I love writing James, and even now I can just slip like super easily into his head. But I think I do, you know, if I had to choose between men and women, I still feel most comfortable writing female points of view.
Would you rather only write your books in trilogies or standalones?
Uh, well, see, you're catching me in the throes of sequel writing, so that's kind of going to bias me. Well, still, even though I am like banging my head against my desk for the sequel, I think I would still prefer trilogies because you get so much more character development and you can just build things up and have that big bang at the end. So it's worth it, I think.
I agree with you. And plus you get like more emotionally attached to the characters.
Right.
Always
yeah.
Nice.
By the third book, exactly.
Oh yeah, and you feel like they're family. Okay, so the next one, would you rather write a book without using conjunctions or have every sentence of your book begin with one?
Oh man. Well, I think it would be pretty it would be pretty entertaining to have every sentence begin with a conjunction, so I'll go with that.
Would you rather write a plot twist you hated or write a character you hated?
I'd go with a character I hated because I think now you can write like a character. I can hate a character and still like he could still like play a good role in the story. But the plot twist, I think I would have to love it.
Would you rather a super successful movie be made from one of your books or a long-lasting television series?
Ooh, that's a really good question. Probably a movie because, you know, there's the seduction of the Hollywood glamour and the red carpet and stuff.
That's very true. That red carpet would be so amazing to walk on.
Yes.
Good luck. Good luck.
Thank you. Thank you.
And then the last one is, would you rather critics rip your book apart publicly or never talk about it at all?
Oh, definitely the first. I'd much rather be talked about, if even in a bad way, than not talked about at all.
And that concludes our Would You Rather game. Yay! Congratulations!
Thank you.
So I guess my next question has to be a follow-up on the critics. Do you read bad reviews of your book?
So yeah, that's a good question. So I mean, I'm a first-time author, so it's still kind of evolving. I did read bad reviews when they first came out, and they don't really get like. I think I'm fairly able to distance myself from reviews, and because I used to be a psychologist, then I think I'm able to view them more as like people reacting to a story rather than, you know, the quality of like the book in an objective sense. So I did read all my reviews, and I did that until fairly recently. After a while, you kind of know what people think about it. The things people like, the things people don't like, the types of people who like the novel. And so now I've cut back on that a lot. I'll still read a lot of the good reviews, but the bad reviews I'll just either skim over or not look at them.
So and on those reviews that you read and they say, I don't like the character when it did that, do you take that into consideration if most reviews say that? Or do you just what do you do with that kind of criticism?
Well, you gotta look at it as a whole then. So there's so what I definitely pay attention to is if a lot of people who love the book still have a common criticism about it, then that I'll really pay attention to, because those are my fans, and those I want to write for them. And then I'll look at most things people will disagree about. If 30% of people hate character X and 30% of people love character X, and I don't worry too much about that. And then if someone absolutely hates the book, then I probably won't take their opinion into account, because they're probably not my target audience.
And so my next question is about this whole entire debate on Goodreads. It's the authors versus the reviewers. And it's the whole entire thing where reviewers post a review, and then the authors, liking it or disliking it, are commenting on the reviews. And it's there's a fine line between, sometimes they say, oh, that's not true about this book, or sometimes they say thank you, and they get crap for it, for both of them. So what do you think about authors commenting on reviews? Do you think that it's okay, or do you think it should be separated?
I think it's better if authors just don't comment, because it just gives the whole thing a weird dynamic. If someone tags you with a review or something, then it's different, of course. But it seems kind of creepy if an author is just kind of watching. I mean, I've definitely seen reviews where I'm like, oh my god, major spoiler first paragraph, why'd you do that? Or else it's actually wrong or something. But in the end, I just trust that it'll all come out in the wash.
And my next questions are team questions. So the first one, are you team Edward or Jacob?
Jacob.
Are you team Gale or Peeta?
Peeta has a healthier outlook on life, I think.
And number 3, are you team Simon or Jace?
Ooh. Well, I kind of have a soft spot for the nerdy guy, maybe Simon.
And so those 3 were book-turned movies. So what's your favorite book-turned movie?
Out of those 3?
No, just all the movies that you've seen that are book-turned movies.
The Princess Bride, I think. And that one, I mean, I'm probably biased because I saw the movie first, I think, like most people, and it was really well done. And I read the book fairly recently, and it's almost exactly like the movie, which was surprising. But yeah, I thought that was really well done and translated really well to screen.
I love The Princess Bride.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I've never actually known someone that read the book. So it's kind of the same?
It's almost exactly the same, down to lines of dialogue, and it's a little chattier and a little snarkier, which was entertaining. But yeah, I was surprised at how similar it was.
Do you recommend that people read the book, or is it so similar that you're like, you should just watch the movie if you don't really want to read the book?
Well, I don't think you're missing you're not missing much plot-wise, but I did appreciate the dialogue a lot better when I was reading the book, because you have less to distract you from it, and he has some really clever lines of dialogue there.
And if you were stranded on a desert island, which character of yours do you want by your side?
Stranded on a desert island. Well, it's a toss-up between Kyra and Probably Trista. Kyra does a lot of cool things. She can like climb things really well, but her outdoor survival skills are not the best. So I think Tristan would probably be the one to go with.
If you could have been the original author of any book, what would it have been, or yeah, what would it have been and why?
Um, the original author of any book. Well, I keep on coming back to the Queen's Thief series by Megan Welland Turner because I'm just totally obsessed with that series. So I would love to have written that book.
And then, where can you see yourself in 5 years?
Well, hopefully still writing. Just putting out more books and see where things go.
Do you have ideas for new series already?
I do. Well, so I have an idea for a prequel novel to the Midnight Thief series that takes place maybe about 15 years before that. And then I also have a unrelated project called Rose Marked. That's another fantasy.
Do you have any advice for aspiring writers?
To find a critique group or critique partners that you trust. That would be, I mean, I don't think I would have finished my novel if not for my critique group and that accountability. And just to get objective feedback on your writing, I think is incredibly important.
Do you have any tips on how to get through the dreaded writer's block?
Take lots of showers, I think. Well, actually, I mean, seriously though, like, taking breaks, going on walks, free associating, writing about maybe related things. If you can't write the scene itself, maybe just like brainstorm out loud or something. Skip to another part of the book or work on another project for a while.
When did you decide to become a writer? Like, when were you like, this is what I want to do for a living?
Well, I think after I sold my first book, it became more feasible. I've always wanted to write a novel, but I didn't know that was something you could actually do.
What is the easiest and the hardest thing about writing a book?
Well, the easiest is that it's fun. You get to just go play in a world. I think the hardest is writing on deadline or something when, like, you have to produce or have to be creative, like, within a certain time frame. And it's kind of hard sometimes for your imagination to kind of meet real world constraints sometimes.
And do you write full-time or part-time?
I write full-time.
And that, well, I guess I'll do one more question. Let me see in my list of questions. Which one is the best question out of all of them? How did you come up with the title?
That's a good question. It was so long ago. I think I was kind of jotting down names or words that had to do with the character in her book, and so she was a thief, so that was easy. And she likes to go out at night, that's like her element, and so I picked lots of like nighttime related words. And, we had like shadow thief for a while, and just kind of, and then I searched on Amazon to see what was out there already, and kind of the combination of what sounded the coolest and what was not already a book title.
And that concludes our chat. So now I'm going to be talking about the giveaway for those viewers out there. So Livia is very kind and is going to give away signed swag. So some bookmarks and buttons, did you say?
Book plates.
Book plates, right. Bookmarks and book plates. And this is for USA and Canada only. And in order to win, what you must do is this live chat thing is going to become a YouTube video. And when it becomes a YouTube video, you must comment on that video. And the second thing, this is optional because not everybody has Twitter, is to follow Livia on Twitter and then put your username in the comments so I can verify the entry. And I will put her username in the description when I am able. And that, is there anything else? Yes, and it ends the 21st of this month, so next week. And that's it for now. Thank you so much, Livia. This was a blast. Okay, I'll talk to you later. Bye.
All right. Bye.